legal services globally competitive. And for this, my dear friends, I would like to devise my presentation in 3 parts. In the first part, I would like to discuss, because it's a very rightly touched by our Professor J.L. Call, that what we are talking about the world legal education. What is the concept of legal education, world-class legal education? So in my first part, I would like to discuss the concept of world-class education institution and its key requirements. In the second part of my paper, I would like to discuss the impact of globalization on legal education and legal profession in particular, which compel us to think for revitalizing the whole legal education system and the major hurdles which is being faced by the country in developing the world-class legal education system. And thirdly and lastly, my paper tries to find out the solution for the major issues and challenges that lay on the path of creation of the world-class legal education system. So coming to the first part, it is what do you mean? What do we mean by the world-class legal education system? Because when we think about this world-class legal education, we may come across certain issues which if we answer these issues properly, I suppose we'll be able to give the shape to this phenomena of world-class legal education. And these issues I would like to address. The very first issue is, what makes an educational institution a world-class one? How does one assess the impact of educational institution? Thirdly, who are the stakeholders of the educational institutions and what role they are expected to play in governing and developing an institution? Fourthly, how should institutions in India attract critical resources and retain them? Fifthly, what is the contribution of Indian institutions in knowledge creation? What are the critical gaps and how to close them? Next, what should be the role of the government and the industry in supporting these institutions? Are these institutions accountable? If yes, to whom? How to balance the freedom of action and accountability? Next, what is the role of funding mechanism and enabling administrative structure? And lastly, what has been the track record of India so far in this area? What should be the way forward? So if we try to answer these many issues, I suppose we'll be able to give the clear shape of the whole concept of world-class education. Now coming to the key requirements to have a world-class education institution, I suppose the first area which we should focus upon is the leadership. Because as we all know that leadership is all about the raising aspirations of people. So in order to make any education institution a world-class one, you need to have a visionary and missionary leader with all devotion and dedication. And unfortunately, with all heavy heart, I would like to say we are not in a position. We, in a sense, that education institutions are not in a position to having this kind of a leader. The second, which is very important, I was just trying to comparing the case of Indian legal system with the legal system which Maria is talking about. That is the freedom. As very rightly mentioned by our chairperson or chairman also, that the role of Bar Council of India, the role of UGC. So apart from the efficient leadership, the freedom in certain aspects of institutions play a very vital role in the creation of the world-class institution. Freedom of action and freedom of choice is the foremost requirement according to me. And if we consider this freedom can be in 5 areas. The 3 areas are academic and the 2 areas of the administrative. The 3 areas of academics are the freedom to decide what to teach, whom to teach, and who will teach. There should not be any regulatory body as far as this area is concerned. Apart from this, the next 2 freedoms which I would like to talk about is the freedom to decide where to find resources and the freedom to decide how to deploy these resources is also to be taken care of. If these 5 freedoms are given to the education institution, I suppose they will do better. Next, I would like to focus upon the issue of public-private partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to tell you that nowadays the situation is that the state has really given farewell to the welfare of the people. And in this context, the public-private partnership have become an accepted norm even in the educational sector in the most of the developed and progressive nations. Partnership allows for sharing of cost and optimal utilization of resources. And this shared vision would ensure greater accountability, responsibility and credibility because multiple stakeholders tend to have a more dynamic approach to monitoring the outcomes at every stage. And then comes the role of professional bodies. I suppose I did not discuss much on this issue because Sir has already discussed upon. Now coming to the next part of my paper, that is the impact of globalization. As we all know that globalization has a profound impact on the future of higher education worldwide, and inevitably the need for raising academic standards, creating better research environment, developing sound infrastructure, creating better career opportunities, promoting professional advancement of academics are all key issues to address upon for higher education with reference to the globalization. And after the advent of WTO and GATS, the legal service has also, there is a it has a great impact on the legal service sector as well, because there are enormous activities that have been increased in the legal arena, like project financing, intellectual property protection, environmental protection, competition law, corporate taxation, infrastructure contracts, corporate governance, investment law. They were all, as been rightly mentioned by my colleague, that were unknown in 90s or in 80s. So number of law firms who are capable of enabling such work is very few. It is evident that the need of professional services has been tremendous in the legal service sector, and in last few years, few firms, in-house firms and individual lawyers' expertise in providing legal service in corporate sector has increased by several times. Now, I would like to give the glimpses of the pitfalls which is the global legal, which the legal profession is facing as on date. I would like to say that in India, as we all know that there is an absolute bar on advocates advertising and soliciting for any purpose and indicating the area of specialization. So, according to me, these kind of restrictions on advertising by lawyers in India have resulted in a situation where consumers cannot make an informed choice from the competitive market, since the information relating to service is not available. So this needs to be cured. The second one, according to the Bar Council of India Rules 1975, Chapter 3, Rule 1, prohibits advocate from entering into partnership or any other arrangement by sharing remuneration with any person or legal practitioner who is not an advocate, which also needs to be taken care. Nextly, the regulatory and legal system in India has the effect of limiting the size of legal establishment. Section 11 of the Companies Act 1956 stimulates that a partnership or any form of association with more than 20 members, if not registered as a company, shall be an unlawful assembly. So these are some of the issues which needs to be addressed with reference to the legal professionals. Now coming to the last part, that is revitalizing the legal education at the backdrop of globalization. The very first is that I would like to focus upon is the curriculum and teaching. As far as the curriculum and teaching is concerned, as rightly mentioned by Professor J.L. Cole, that Delhi University has been adopting the case law method, but how many university and how many law schools are adopting this method, which is a proven one. So teaching, how many workshops for the teachers have been arranged? Yesterday only I have been discussing this issue with one of my colleagues, and we were discussing that all the national law school, the students are given admission on the basis of the national entrance test, but what are the teachers who are going to be recruited in all those law schools? There is no any press. Only on the basis of 5 minutes or 10 minutes interview they are being recruited. So what should be what is the quality of the teachers? Whether they are going to teach those students who are they have been admitted after qualifying their admission test. So this also needs to be taken care. As far as the curriculum is concerned, it should be internationalized. Faculty and research. Research is a very ignored area as far as the legal education institutions in India is concerned, which also needs to be focused upon. Then comes infrastructure and resources. Again, I would like to again remind what Professor J.L. Cole said. There are many law colleges in India who really don't have the classes. They don't have better library facilities. So this needs to be taken care of. While I was doing this research, I have come across some of the statistics which I would like to put forth before you. That is, we are talking about the Harvard Law School, we are talking about the Yale Law School. But the amount which we are spending on the library resources, I would like to give the statistics. The last year, the Harvard Law School has spent $14 million. That is approximately 70 crore in libraries for library resources. The Yale Law School has spent $6 million. That is approximately 30 crores. And with respect to, if you compare the situation with India, then it is hardly, according to the Bar Council regulation, it is 50,000. One has to add 50,000 rupees books every year. So this is uncomparable situation. Then next is international collaboration. That is nicely explained by Ms. Maria. So there are some of the issues with which, if it is addressed properly, I suppose we will be in a position to maintain the standards of legal education. And lastly, I would like to say that India has created several reputed law schools with active support of government. The first, as we all know, the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore. The transformation into world-class entities would need major policy initiatives as well as meticulous execution. When we are marching towards creating a world knowledge platform, as is being visioned by our former President Abdul Kalam, this is required to be addressed at the earliest. There is no simple measure to benchmark world-class legal education institution. The reputation, the faculty resources, the academic and scientific output, quality of students who seek admission to the institution, the academic rigor practiced by the institution, and the social standing of the law graduates of the institution are some of the key attributes to gauge the eminence of the institution. And lastly, I would like to say it is a high time that this transformation process would need an active support from the government, quality leadership from the industry, from the corporation, from the corporate sectors, dynamic priority setting and policy formulation, freedom of appropriate action by the institution, and a strong focus on quality of legal education delivered contextually, relevant knowledge creation, and an ecosystem to facilitate generation of new ideas and thoughts is highly required. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Purvi. Thanks. There are 3 or 4 points which she has touched very rightly and very concretely. The first is investment in higher education. If I am not mistaken, we have committed to have about 8% of our GDP to higher education. And unfortunately, it has gone down to only 3%. I stand subject to correction. It's now 3% of our GDP to higher education. With the result that it was perhaps a nice idea to depend on the private sector for higher education, for higher technical education. But unfortunately, and I stand by what I say, unfortunately, these private initiatives, they have perhaps nothing to do with imparting, as she says, world-class education. They are only concerned with filling their coffers. And they take recourse to all measures, right or foul, to see to it that their money, they make lots of money. In fact, I recall what Supreme Court had said, of India had said, that look, there must always be a concept of education being charity or being charitable in nature, and there's nothing wrong if one private institution makes a little bit of surplus, but that surplus has to be invested for purpose of education itself. But unfortunately, that surplus goes into some other things. And 2 is, yes, we have to rationalize both our curriculum and rationalize our teaching methodology as well. I do not know for how it could be again universal for all law colleges across India, given the fact that most of them they lack infrastructure, so on and so forth. The third is that at least in legal education, again I stand by what I say, is that over the years we have gone to the quantity rather than the quality. And if you come across the number of law students having their law degrees each year, I guess there's immense number of them, but perhaps quality-wise they might be lacking, and with the result that they might not face, they might not be in a position to be competitive in the present-day global economy, and that economy would obviously include legal economy as well. Thanks very much, Purvi. Thank you. And now I request Dr. Lisa P. Lukoso. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Assistant Professor, Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. Yeah. Dr. Lisa, please wind up within 5 minutes, please. Give your recommendation.
Honorable Chairperson Kaur, my respected fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. So I am here to share some thoughts regarding the real challenges that the education of the present era, legal education of the present era faces. The reforms in legal education have been long overdue. For example, in 1949, University Education Commission observed, and I painfully quote, the colleges of law in our country do not hold a place of high esteem, either at home or abroad, and nor has law become an area of profound scholarship and enlightenment.